Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning into your Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. We love getting to be here to bring you great information about things maybe you didn't quite know about, or great community information to get you entertained. We've got a great show ahead of us. We're going to be introducing you to Katie Wang from the Park City Film Series, as well as KB Benefits and Consulting. That way, if there's some questions that maybe you still have lingering, well, we're going to get those answered, as well as how to help you celebrate National Dairy Month. Let's take a look at that local weather forecast, though, right now. If you're looking for something fun to do this weekend or a great date night activity, well then the Park City Film Series has got you covered. So we're going to introduce you to one of the greatest nonprofits here in our community and what you can get out there and enjoy with Katie Wang this weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a lover of film and cinema, then you love our friends at Park City Film as much as we do. And as every week, we have Executive Director Katie Wang giving us all the updates and a little bit more information of what we can expect over the next couple days. Katie, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I can't believe it feels like summer is finally here. Maybe it's because I have
finally
kids.
Here.
School's just to get out. So it just finally feels like, all right, I'm ready for some lemonade, hanging out in the sun.
I feel you.
Seeing great movies.
Exactly. Eliminate, and with some of the amazing films that you guys always show, sounds like a perfect combination. So Katie, let's roll right into it. Tell us what we can expect this weekend. What are some of the screenings that you guys will be showing?
Yeah, absolutely. So this weekend's our last weekend of our regular series, which means, we do our regular Friday, Saturday, Sunday night showings, and then we'll take a break for the summer and do kind of fun stuff that we'll talk about here in a minute. And then we'll return to the regular weekend schedule the weekend after Labor Day. So this weekend, we're wrapping everything up with a film called Evil Does Not Exist. And this is Retsuki Hamaguchi's newest film. He won the Academy Award for Best International Film last year for Drive My Car. And he is just an amazing storyteller. It's a very kind of subtle, it's almost like watching a flower blossom, and it's very Japanese in that sense, that it's just the artistry is exceptional, everything from the setting to the dialogue to the themes. And this is a kind of an environmental theme for him. And it's about a remote hamlet just outside of Tokyo, where a company's coming in to build a big glamping sites, big tents and lots of, stuff for city folk to feel safe in the outdoors. And of course, no consideration for the natural environment for this little town and what the impacts might be. And so it's kind of that conversation of, how do you live with nature as opposed to kind of fighting with it? What's that harmony look like? But just very beautifully told through the lens of Hamaguchi and just, the villagers and what their life is like, that it's very simplistic, but it's so deeply meaningful at the same time. So it's like, it's like poetry watching his films. I love them, clearly. So that'll be Friday and Saturday at 7, and then again Sunday at 6. And you can get tickets online at parkcityfilm.org, or of course at the box office an hour before showtime.
Yeah, I was watching the trailer to Evil Does Not Exist right before this, Katie. And like you mentioned, that those themes of harmony, of balance, and you can see that throughout the film, and the importance of that for this village or this community where these characters live, and how that this glamping may impact all of that, So I think those themes of harmony and balance really stuck out to me.
Right. And I think it's perfect for our community. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly we are, we live in a resort town. The environment, the natural environment is of most importance to all of us, whether we're skiing or hiking. But of course, we need places to live and we
Yes.
need places to go shopping. And so that's kind of an ongoing conversation, I think, in the modern world, and certainly something in the Park City community we're grappling with. And so just kind of looking at this kind of parable of what it looks like in a very small setting. And maybe there are some lessons learned there. And as with all of our films, we're hoping to ignite some conversation and just maybe a different way of looking at the world
Yeah.
and how we exist within it. So,
Absolutely. Well, that's Evil Does Not Exist, June 7th through the 9th. Katie, what else can we expect upcoming?
so next week we have the second film. Well, we have two films next
Yes.
week. And so now we're in kind of our summer schedule, which means it's kind of, a little more footloose, fancy free, bring your lemonade, put on your flip-flops kind of thing. So on Wednesday night, we're partnering with the Park City Summit County Arts Council for Latino Arts Fest, as we do
Yes.
every year. And we are bringing in a film from Brazil, which is awesome. This film is it premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, so it's kind of a sneak peek for our community. It actually won't go out for general release until later this year. But this is about Brazilian surfer Maya Gabeira, and she is just an exceptional human being. I mean, we live in a town of Olympians, but like Maya kind of just pushes it over the top.
Yeah.
So she almost drowned in 2013 trying to surf some of the big waves
Oh my
outside of
gosh.
Portugal, Nazaré, and then came back, kind of fighting injury and self-doubt and all of these things, not only to win the Guinness Book of World Record for the largest wave ever surfed by a woman, over 70 feet, which is insane. But of course, there are a lot of naysayers saying, oh, did you do it? You're a woman, how could you do these things? Blah, blah. So the next year she enters in a competition, a men's competition for big wave surfing, and ends up surfing the biggest wave that any human being, man or woman, has ever surfed. So kind of just, put all those naysayers to rest and said, without a doubt, she is just an unbelievable athlete. So it's this great story of just kind of overcoming adversity, following your dreams. This cinematography is unbelievable. I mean, these waves are over 100 feet tall off the coast of Portugal. So you definitely want to see it on a big screen, immersed. It'll be in Portuguese and English with English subtitles, but just what a great way to celebrate, Maya, her athleticism, but also, Latin American culture and communities. So we thought it'd be a fun way to kick off the Latino Arts Festival, which will commence in the Canyons Village later that week.
Oh, absolutely. And Katie, I was again seeing the trailer on my computer screen. Those waves, the power and just the tremendous. It was just unbelievable to even see it on a small screen on my computer. So I can only imagine on a big screen, or even just living that in real life as Maya did. The just the power of those waves was insane.
Yeah, the intensity is
The
unbelievable. It kind of
intensity.
just gives you heart palpitations. You're like,
Yes.
I'm not even in it. Like, but what are you doing, Maya? Like, whoa,
I'm like, yeah, is she okay? Did she make it out of the wave? Like, it was just amazing to see, and definitely such an inspiring and powerful story for everyone. And that's going to be a free screening. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's free screening. That's Wednesday at 7. So you can register in advance if you want to just make sure you've got a seat. But we have over 400 seats in our theater, so plenty of room. So you just have a change of plans or just kind of spontaneous want to gather up your crew and head on over. Absolutely, we'd love to have you. So do not be deterred. Register if you can, but otherwise, please show up. We'd love to have you. It's free, and we'll have concessions, great popcorn, that kind of stuff. But then the next night, so that's Wednesday, then Thursday night, we have the second film in our series. We're doing a Studio Ghibli Film Festival that kicked off this week. We had Princess Mononoke on Thursday night, and then
Yes.
next week, the second film in our series will be Kiki's Delivery Service. And I think this is one that perhaps may be well known to folks that love anime and Hayao Miyazaki, as I do. But it's about a young witch who goes off into the world to kind of find her place, as all young witches must do. They have to live a year on their own and kind of find their place in the world. And it's just a great story of kind of figuring out who you are and how do you relate to other people. And it's, again, beautifully told through Miyazaki's amazing animation style, but also just how he tells stories is so compelling. I think in this country, Americans think of animation as kind of the realm of children, and it's absolutely not. I mean, certainly when you look at animation from around the world, and particularly in Japan, it's so complex. I mean, it just opens up the world. There's endless possibilities when you have animation, and just the way that Miyazaki, kind of manipulates his craft is just a wonder to behold. So certainly for young film lovers, it's rated G, but adults, children, film lovers of all ages, this is a film that you will all take something from. And we hope that you'll join us on Thursday, the 13th at 7 o'clock for that screening as well.
There you go. Lots happening at Park City Film over the next few days. And Katie, that will kind of be some of the last screenings before you kind of transition into that summer programming. If you can briefly tell us kind of what summer's going to look like or where folks can go to stay updated for some of those summer screenings.
Yes, absolutely. So parkcityfilm.org, just gonna, put that in the top headline there. That's where all of our information will be. But summer for us is really a chance to go to different parts of Summit County. We have pop-up film screenings on a mobile LED screen. We'll be out in Camas and Hennifer and Hoytsville this summer with fun film screenings that are curated for film lovers of all ages. So Ratatouille, E.T., Brave, fun films like that. But then in the Jim Santee Auditorium, throughout the summer, we'll have 3 screenings in June, 2 in July, and 2 in August that are part of our Studio Ghibli Film Festival. And so that will be, as we said, Kiki next week, Nausicaa, The Valley of the Winds, just some of Miyazaki's great films. We'll have some speakers coming in from around the country to talk about the artistry of anime and how it fits within the film genre. And then some folks that will talk about Japanese history and how some of Miyazaki's films kind of reflect what's going on in the world. And some of them were controversial and, why that is. So that'll be kind of fun, kind of get that intellectual depth. And then a couple more pop-up screenings on the Park City Library patio that we're doing in partnership with Park City Library and Basin Recreation. Just again, bring the community together, enjoy the summer season, the outdoors, but just a great way to kind of mix things up a little bit, get people outside, but of course still bring them around in community around film.
Absolutely. Lots of exciting stuff happening this summer over at Park City Film. Make sure you visit parkcityfilm.org to stay updated and see all of the upcoming films. Katie, thank you so much for joining us. As always, a pleasure talking to you.
Great to be here. Have a great weekend and happy summer.
Happy summer to you too. Katie, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back with more of the show after this. So stay tuned.
We're excited to introduce you to the CEO and founder of JB Benefits and Consulting. That way, maybe you can have some of your questions asked. Let's introduce you now.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Now, our next guest is revolutionizing the landscape of business healthcare, and to tell us a little bit about all the work that he does, we have today joining us via Zoom, John Butler, CEO and founder of JB Benefits and Consulting. John, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Julio, it's great to be with you, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is ours, John. We were talking a little bit off camera of all the work that you do, so I'm excited to get to hear a little bit more about, this industry that you're in that I know is very complex and very complicated, but you're going to help us understand a little bit about the work that you do today. So why don't we start off? I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our communities here and tell us a little bit about JB Benefits and Consulting and the work that you do.
Well, to make it short and sweet, I grew up in Minnesota here. I joined as a securities broker in about 1988 full-time. I had that business going all the way up to when I sold it in 2022. Then I bought a block of employee benefits business in 1996. I built that up and I sold that last September of 2023 and to go completely independent. So my intention, like we were talking about off air, my intention was to go independent for the last 8 years. So I wanted to break away from any connection with health insurance companies, any pharmacy companies, any of the mess that's going on here, because the way that the system is set up, Julio, it's to benefit those health insurance companies, pharmacy companies, nonprofit hospitals. A lot of this is, we call it the cartel in our industry, just to be frank. But I'm a big fan of small employers and the employees of those companies. So I wrote the book Health Insurance Sucks, which is called that because it does, first of all. But there was 3 different solutions that I had in my book that I would never have brought up to my clients, Julio, because if I would bring any of those 3 solutions up to you in the marketplace, I'd likely lose your business. So one of them is custom health plan designs, which is designed basically for pretty large companies. Another one is a way of outsourcing your benefits called a PEO, or professional employer organization. Which is, you can take all your health insurance, dental, life, disability, even workers' comp, and outsource it. Both of those solutions make sense in the marketplace. And then the last one was what I call in my book a cafeteria plan design, which I'll talk about more than anything here. but it's a way of breaking free from owning the insurance contract as an employer and allowing your employees to own their own stuff and then reimbursing them. But if you had brought any of those up, I wasn't smart enough to offer custom health plan solutions, the PEO design, or the outsourcing benefits. I wasn't licensed to sell it. And then the cafeteria plan, if I was going to design a plan that's for all 200 of your employees or 50 or 5, it didn't really matter.
Right.
I wasn't staffed up to handle that. So if you would have mentioned any of those 3, I would have dissuaded you from any of that path whatsoever, because I wouldn't have wanted to lose your business, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I love that you mention, these solutions. You mentioned your book, which I actually wanted to talk about. So I love that you're bringing that up. And I also love that you're bringing up, the small businesses, which are so crucial here in our mountain communities. And I know that there will be, business owners tuning in. And I love that you mentioned, like I said, those solutions. But I kind of want to take a step back and maybe talk about, or from your experience, from your perspective, what's kind of that current health insurance landscape? You've been in this industry for many, many years now. Or maybe kind of what are some of those issues, or just help us understand the current landscape when it comes to business health insurance or business healthcare.
Yeah, it really comes down to rules and regulations. That's really what this whole thing is about. So if you think about it from the top down, the government sets rules for the insurance companies. The insurance company sets rules for employers. Employers, if they buy it and they own the insurance contract, have to adhere to the government and the insurance company's rules. And there's a ton of them. But all of the pricing and everything within that world of rules and regulations provides business owners, small business owners, and I'm going to be talking about mostly companies under 50, because they have the most freedom in the world right now, or in the United States. But even the healthcare bill itself, that was passed way back in 2010 and rolled out in 2014, provides rules and regulations to companies over 50 in size that says, if you don't do things a certain way, we're going to penalize you, okay? So when you're under 50 in size, I think the most relevant thing that I can bring to you in the amount of time that we have here is the solution in my book that I'm most excited about around the country, called a cafeteria plan solution.
Yeah.
I call it a cafeteria plan design because most people have been to cafeteria restaurants. I wanted to make it easy to understand. The difference between you owning the insurance contract and a cafeteria plan is that if you think about all of your employees going to lunch at a cafeteria restaurant, you're giving them money, tax-free money most of the time, for their tray, but they're picking out their own customized solutions. What is their network? What is their RX plan? What are their deductibles? All of these kind of things. But what's outside the system of rules and regulations, completely inside the cafeteria plan, that most people don't know about, and actually, Julio, I'm just curious if you've heard of this before, but there's something that's been around for 30 years called health sharing.
Okay.
Have you heard of that before?
I have not. No. Tell me about it.
Health sharing works sufficiently the same way that health insurance works. There are people that pay into a system. The health sharing company has a huge pool of money. And then they basically say, in case there's any, basically tragedies, illnesses, or accidents, that you pay a certain amount up to a certain maximum. And then the health sharing community shares the rest.
Okay.
The health sharing community has something that's very important to consider here is it has some pre-existing condition requirements on there that you need to read through, but about 50 to 70% of America qualifies for this. It's not like big things like heart disease or cancers or strokes. So most people can get by those things because they haven't had any major things happen, okay? But let me just talk about the insurance market for a second. If I buy an insurance plan in your state and I buy it with Blue Cross Blue Shield, the average deductible is about $3,000. And Julio, are you married or are you single?
Single.
Okay. So the out-of-pocket maximum now is approaching $9,000, almost $10,000. So if you have a really bad accident, you're going to pay the first $3,000 of that deductible, and then you'll pay a percentage of the rest of that up until that $10,000 max. So if you have a claim, that's $150,000, $200,000 claim because you got in a bad car accident, you're shelling out 10 grand. So now let's circle back to the health sharing. My wife and I in 2018 decided to go on to health sharing, and we're on that plan all the way up till the end of last year.
Okay.
That health sharing plan we qualified for with no problem. Our health insurance plan that we owned through our company for just me and my wife was going up to $2,000 a month.
Wow.
I researched all of the health sharing communities, and by the way, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But there's a few that are in the employer space now that's what I'm excited about. So we bought a plan instead of a $3,000 deductible for $2,000 a month. We paid $344 a month, and this plan was a $500 out-of-pocket maximum in case any illness or injury happened to me or my wife.
Wow.
So that's pretty dramatic, right?
That is.
$1,600 a month different. Now, what happened shortly after that, at the end of 2018, on Christmas Eve night, my wife had to go into the hospital. At 11 o'clock at night, she was in there for 4 hours. She got treated for an infection. I thought it was way worse than I thought it was her heart or something, you know. I got a bill at the end of that, about 6 weeks later, from Fairview Hospital here in Minnesota for $6,750. And I called Fairview and I said, well, I'm just here to settle the bill, but, you know, why is it $6,750?
Right.
And she says, well, what insurance do you have? And believe it or not, they never asked me for my card at the hospital. I said, well, we don't have insurance. We're cash payers under a different system. And she right away does this. Oh, hang on. Let me get to my other system. She gets over to her other system, and within about 5 minutes, she says, I'm going to send out a revised bill for $3,125.
Wow.
So it went from $6,750 to $3,125 in 5 minutes. They sent me that revised bill. I sent it to our health sharing community. We paid $500. They paid the rest. Wow. And that was the only time, the only claim we had from 2018 to the end of 2023, Julio.
Wow. That's impressive, John. And for the sake of time, I would like to hear from you. And I know, like I said, a lot of small businesses in our community. What advice do you have for them, for employers, businesses, companies? You know, how can they reduce their costs, or just any piece of advice that you'd like to close off before we conclude?
Yeah, the cafeteria plan, we provide a free calculator that is, they can basically plug in their own information about their own program. So if you've got a 20-person company and you're in, it doesn't matter, your state, my state, any state, this works in every state in the union, we'll actually do a comparison with what your current plan is and what your coverage is with what the cafeteria plan will provide. And it's usually a reduction in cost between about 40 to 60%. But then after we let everybody get their own coverage, Julio, within your company, only after that does the employer then decide to do the reimbursement. So you might say, hey, we used to do 80% of your costs on my group plan. We're still going to do 80% of the cost on your health insurance plan, but we'll pay all of the costs of the health sharing. So you see where the difference will come into play pretty dramatically. And I've even got a clear path for basically employers that want to be a little more generous to where you can reduce down their premiums to zero, and you can actually provide a zero deductible as well, if that's what you want to do. But we take the cost from here down to here, and with the savings that an employer has, they can put that extra money into paying for those deductibles, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Very insightful information, John. I wish we had more time to speak on this important topic, but if anybody wants to learn more or wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
The best way is through my website. It's jb-benefits.com. We actually run requests for proposals for companies all over the country, large or small, frankly. This one is I'm focusing on the smaller companies because that's the one I'm most excited about. But yeah, we do our analysis for free, and the only way we get paid is if we save you money.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us today and speaking with us a little bit about, this very complex industry that we mentioned, but you're the expert and you have very insightful information. So I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Well, I'm proud of myself. I didn't swear once.
There you go, John.
Because it's maddening.
Much. Thank you so much again. And if anybody is interested in learning more, you can visit jb-benefits.com with more information. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back with more of the show. So stay tuned.
Did you know that June is National Dairy Month? Well, I had no idea, and there's some great ways that you can get inspired to celebrate it, and Ross is going to give you all that information right now.
It is National Dairy Month, and joining us via Zoom, we have Will Coleman, who is a celebrity chef, content creator, and so much more. He's been on Good Morning America, The Today Show. Will, thank you for joining us this morning.
It's an absolute pleasure to be chatting with you about all things dairy today.
I love it. I love it. And so, speaking of dairy, how can we make this National Dairy Month legendary?
Yeah, so when thinking about National Dairy Month, it's all about celebrating the people behind the dairy, which are the Wisconsin farmers. They're doing amazing work, providing more than $46 billion to the state's economy. And when you think about that, that's more than Idaho potatoes and Florida oranges combined. And those are really two large markets. So they're doing some amazing work to create the highest quality of milk while caring for their land and animals to make sure everybody's healthy and happy.
I love that. I love that. I didn't mean to be too cheesy with that legendary joke, but
You're doing your job, and I'm here for it. This is all the dairy. We're here for it.
I love that. Will, what's kind of one recipe that sticks out to you that's going to have people smiling this summer?
Yeah, I really, as a chef, I love to make people stay on top of their feet and be excited about food. So one thing I recommend is a sweet and savory ice cream sandwich. We're talking about a feta and Parmesan ice cream sandwich that features Athena's traditional feta and also the grated Stella Parmesan cheese and those classics like the Wisconsin heavy cream and the whole milk. You're gonna make an amazing ice cream custard, and all you need is an ice cream maker to bring these delicious ice cream sandwiches to life that are sweet and savory and such a fun take on a classic.
I love that. And speaking of savory, what's some of those recipes that might have a little flair to them as well?
Absolutely. So I love all things savory as well. And I see that everybody's loving their air fryer. So we're going to talk about an air fryer burrata that's golden brown and crispy. It features that Bel Gioioso cheese that you can crust a little bit to make it crispy and golden brown. And also features the Wisconsin Cheese Brothers Fratello, which is an Asiago and Parmesan blend. It's a great way to serve your friends through an appetizer with crudités or crispy bread. And very light, vibrant, and something that I want during the summertime.
I love that. And the air fryer is a little bit of a surprise to us, but what's another kind of surprise you have for us?
Full of surprises here. So when you think about summer, I want salads that are light, bright, vibrant, and especially seasonal. So we're going to talk about this sweet and spicy corn salad that's perfectly paired with steak here, but you can use it with fish or chicken. Very, very versatile. But the two stars in this salad is the Wisconsin Dairy award-winning cheeses, the Mareika jalapeno Gouda, which is spicy, creamy, and also has the Odyssey 2% yogurt to make a light, creamy dressing that's really the star here. So great for barbecues and also meal prep because it's high in protein, and that's what we want.
Sorry, I'm wiping away a little bit of drool over here. That looks amazing.
Yeah, me too.
Will,
Right.
what's kind of your favorite cheese? What's the go-to cheese for you this summer?
Absolutely. So when thinking about summertime, I am going to be on my grill all the time, flipping burgers, and I need some sharp cheddar cheese in my right-hand pocket at all times because it's creamy, crumbly, it has a nice, rich taste to it. So today I'm using the Boar's Head Sharp Wisconsin cheddar cheese, and I'm always thinking about burgers, but today we're going to talk about this heirloom phyllo tart that has bacon, tomatoes, that cheddar cheese. It's just a great way to provide an appetizer for your friends and family, or it can be a great breakfast option, but the star of the show is going to be that sharp cheddar cheese from Wisconsin.
Oh man, looks so good over there. Definitely check Will out on social media. But Will, where can people go for more information?
Absolutely. So it's National Dairy Month. So that means you need recipes in your life ASAP. So check out wisconsincheese.com for endless recipes. And make sure you remember that Wisconsin cheese is available nationwide. So you can go to the grocery stores and check out your cheese and make sure it has the Proudly Wisconsin cheese badge to make sure you're getting the best of the best.
I love that. Will, anything else I should ask you? Anything else people should know about National Dairy Month? I think every month should be National Dairy Month, but what should people know moving forward here?
Yes, I think overall, just know that when it comes to Wisconsin cheese, it's such a large variety there. They have over 600 types and styles of cheeses, so there's something for everybody. If you want sweet, you have things like ice cream sandwiches or nice sweet cheese spreads. If you want savory, you have things like pizza and salads. So there's something for everybody that is going to sure to please you this summer.
Awesome. Will, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Good luck out there. Wisconsin cheese. It's just fun to say, too.
Wisconsin cheese. Everybody should have it. Happy National Dairy Month. Thanks for
Happy
having
National
me.
Dairy Month, Will. Great to have you on, and thanks for coming on, and have a great month out there.
We want to thank you so much for tuning into your Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. We love getting to be here to bring you great community information and maybe answer some questions as well as inspire you to celebrate National Dairy Month. Now, we are already a full week into June and it feels like it has flown by. So make sure that you get out there and you soak up some sunshine over the course of the weekend. I've been your host, Maddie Evans, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.